right? Your mother wasn't there, or even when they were there, they weren't present in your life. Like, maybe you come back from school, they ask you, how did school go? Oh, let me help you do your homework. Oh, let me take you to school. Those things make you feel like, oh, I am wanted here. But if it's like, oh, your mother comes in or your dad comes in, they are in a hurry to go. They are always out of the house. They are not checking on you. They don't care. That's when you find people that comes from two parents home, but they are still like living a certain life that like don't they have parents, right? And that's when the addiction comes in to fill those space. So that's when people will take up sex, right? People will take up multiple, let me have multiple women or multiple men to be able to make up for that void that I feel inside. Or let me take up alcoholism or drugs. Like those are, so people that are addicted, we shouldn't look at them like, oh, they are good for nothing. We should be asking questions. Why? How did you get here? What is going on within you that will make you want to do these things? We shouldn't be judgmental of people, like, because if we were supposed to be honest with our own mental health, then others would judge us as well. So like it's a lot of anger and a lot of grief that is inbuilt in people. And I always say, like, when you are in some part of a relationship, whether it's friendship or romantic relationship or even work relationship, and you're like, oh, this person is always making me angry. No, it's not the person that is making you angry. They are just triggering an anger point or a grief point. Like they are rubbing something that is there, that has been processed, that has been thought about. And like I always say, like, we don't take time, especially for men, because they feel like, I need to achieve this, I need to go here, I need to get here. When things happen to them, they don't take their time to process, and that's when all like it will all come back to you at some point. And then you get to a point where you have the job, you have the house, you have the woman, but you're still unfulfilled. Exactly. You still don't feel joy, you still are not happy, because there are things that you did not take your time to process, to break down, and to come to a place of like acceptance, right? So there are some things that have happened to us in our childhood or in the past that we needed to grieve. Oh, somebody will say, oh, well, my work was fine, my school was fine, right? But like, how about there are other things that may have broken you, like a relationship. You were okay from home, you were okay from work, but you got into a certain relationship that damaged you. You put your trust, like relationship involves trust, so you put your trust in somebody and they broke it, right? And that leaves you feeling some sort of unworthiness, or like, oh, is it because something is wrong with me? And that's the first point of call as human beings when things don't go well. It's like, oh, is there something wrong with me? Am I not enough? And when you keep brooding over that and you don't come to a place where you process it and say, oh, maybe it's not about me, maybe it's just this person that has their own issues and they just don't know how to show up in the relationships. That's why they probably broke up with me, or things probably didn't work out, or maybe I have my own issues that I have not worked on, that has shown up in the relationship, and now it's brought the breakdown of the relationship, right? If you don't get to that point, every time you be thinking, oh yeah, I'm not good enough, and then little by little you become anxious, and then anxiety will lead to depression. And another thing, some people get depressed but they don't know it's depression. Stop saying I don't know what depression is.
Hold on right there. Let's welcome those who just joined.
Yes, Jerry John,
I see you, Millie, Tress,
Chidinma,
Fortune, and Nana Owusu on Facebook, Jerry John, Kofi Safo, Opoku.
Hi, Jerry John says great discussion. Bless you guys. Yes, you're welcome. Stay with us.
Guys, we are talking about mental health today, and as Africans, most of the time when you bring up the topic of mental health, people are just quick to brush it aside, like, hey, me, I'm so stressed, like, they think mental health is for the rich, right? And then they think once you are African, you were born in it
to deal with issues, like you have to be strong. Sometimes being strong is actually accepting that there's something wrong with me. Like, well, I do therapy, I've been to therapy, I go to therapy nowadays, it's once a month. There was a time I was going to therapy every day, and what I learned from therapy is that it takes a lot of strength for you to come to a place to say, as a human being, to say, because everybody wants to look perfect, right?
Exactly.
Like, I'm flawless. No, nobody is flawless. So it takes a lot of strength to come to a place to say, there's something wrong with me. The way I see the world, the way I show up in relationships, the way I view myself, the way I view others there's something wrong somewhere.
I need to work on myself.
Right.
Yeah.
It takes a lot of strength, and if you're not able to do that, you are a weak person. You are a weak person. Like, because a weak person will always brush things off, but a strong person will attack things. Right. So the fact that you are brushing things off does not make you strong. It just means you are not ready to deal with something. And a strong person is somebody that is able to deal with things. So if you're not able to deal with your mental health, then you are weak.
And talking about weakness, let's also talk about the fact that a lot of Africans, especially the men, are brought up not to show emotions, and that is wrong.
Yeah, it's a
like
big
sometimes if a man wants to cry, they will say you are a man, you are
Men
not supposed to cry. Men
don't
don't cry. Like, why can't you cry?
Yeah.
You are
You're human.
You have emotions.
Yes.
So you are human before you are a man.
Yes.
Let's establish that one. So show emotions. If you are with a woman and you love her, profess it. A lot of these African men, you are with them, even I love you, they can't tell you.
But that comes from a place where they never even heard it from their own, the people that were supposed to love them. So like most of these issues has the foundation in how we were brought up. Our caregivers, who did we grow up around? Did they mean my mom is very affectionate, so I don't have problems being affectionate, even with my friend, like even you, I will hold you, I will touch you, because my mom is that person that will tell you, I love you, mommy, you look so beautiful, oh, I like your dress. So I am used to that. I don't see that as weird, but for somebody that's not used to that, even when you do it, it's weird to them. And it will take time, and they will have to come to a point where they know that how they grew up wasn't always the best way. And they have to rewind, do a lot of self-reflection, and then like do that change for themselves. If not, when even you who have done the work come into their lives, it won't make any difference. They'll only drain you and drag you down with them. That's what usually happens.
Kojo wants to join. Let's
Hi everybody, Joshua Kwao, Abna Gifty, hey, Kojo Sego, Maxo, hey Maxo, how are you?
Somebody says your skin is flawless. Thank you, Kasani.
Thank you
for that. So guys, if you want to join in, feel free, and then send a join request, and let's talk. So we've spoken about mental health and education and at work. One big thing I want us to talk about is mental health and religion. Like, how did you know that's what I'm bringing up? Because
it's a big deal, honey.
Listen, I grew up in a religious home for so many years. It was church, right? And it got me sitting down to think about it, that religion takes a toll on our mental health. Like, when you are sad, you are depressed,
yes, to pray.
Yes, it's good. And this is what I say: the preaching and the sermon will give you hope, and the prayers will give you hope, but it doesn't take away, it doesn't do the real work that like a therapist would do, right? So let's talk about religion and mental health. This is what, if you are stressed, if you are depressed, yes, you can pray, but you still have to find a root cause, and that is what the sermon will not let you know, right? The sermon is not personal, like, okay, you have a problem, this is the root cause, and this is the solution. The sermon is always general. So like, how do we also deal with that as well?
I'm very glad that you said that the preaching will give you hope, right? But it won't do the work for you. Like I always say, as much as we want prayer to take it away, prayer does not solve our issues. Prayer will not take that pain away. Even when you go to the church and you come back to your house and you're by yourself on the bed by yourself, that pain is still there. That anguish is still there. It is up to you to sit down. Like me, I got to a point, I was like, it's like, oh, you get into a relationship, then like it ends, and then it got to a point I was like, what is going on? What is wrong? How did I contribute to the breakdown of this relationship? Why?
And that's what a lot of people
do not do. Like, see, I always say, if you're in a relationship, you're going back and forth. The problem is because you have not gotten to the root issue, the root problem. And solve the root problem. So it doesn't matter, you can be together 10 years, that problem is still there. You still break up and come back, unless you sit down as an individual and you self-reflect and say, okay, when I'm angry, why do I show up like this? First of all, why am I even angry? That's the question. So there was a time last year, like because of therapy, when I start feeling certain emotions, I would ask myself, why? I'm angry. Okay, I recognize first, I'm angry. Second question is why? What is making me angry? So I was so angry, and I can tell is like I get irritated easily. Like somebody will say something, it has nothing to do with anything, and then I'm like, I'm all on like like 6 turbo engine, right? So then I sit down and I'm like, what's making me? So I went to therapy, and like usually when I go to therapy, like for my one-on-one, like, oh, how was your week? What went wrong? Tell me what happened. Then I'm like, I talked about my week, and I'm like, but I'm so angry. So she was like, okay, let's break it down. So we broke it down, and then we found out that I was resentful. It was so a lot of people may not have had a bad childhood, but they may be resenting even friendships that didn't show up for them.
Okay.
So friendships can also cause you the damage that a romantic relationship can cause you. Like it's like you are giving yourself away, and you get nothing back. And the truth about human beings is, we also expect love that we give out. So if you keep giving and you're not getting in anything, but you will be drained, you will be burnt out, and you become resentful, and that resentment fills you with anger. Now you're showing up in your personal relationships with a lot of anger. So you're saying this person is making me angry. No, they're not making you angry. They're just triggering that resentment that's residual within you, or that anger over, oh, when your father left, your mother left, or because your father wasn't there enough, or your schoolmates used to make fun of you, and people that were bullied. Oh my God, like I'm not even, that's like a whole topic for another day. People that were bullied growing up, no self-worth, depression, anxiety, imposter syndrome, self-sabotage. These are all like mental unwellness. It's not only being diagnosed with bipolar or multiple personality disorder, but just self-sabotage. You sabotage yourself. Like there's an opportunity for you, but you feel like I'm not good enough. Where is that feeling coming from? That's what you should be asking, right? And so if like I was listening to somebody and they were asked the question, okay, you know you're depressed, right? You know you have a problem. What do you do when you can't afford therapy? He said there are books. The library is free. Walk in there, get books, read. YouTube is free unless you want the premium one. YouTube is free. Me, most of the things I know, I learned from YouTube. So there's a channel I follow, The School of Life. It's a psychology channel. They talk about all these things. They break it down. Children that were abused, children that were bullied, people that have PTSD. Like PTSD is also a big one. So it's not only people that have PTSD that have mental problems. But and like, see, you show up in relationship and you like knowing these things. I know. I meet somebody who's like, oh my God, this person is sick, and
you can't.
I know. Like, I'm not here to fix anybody.
And see, this is what. So, in the name of, oh, nobody is perfect, and we are all working on ourselves. We're all human beings. Yes, nobody is perfect, but some people are damaged. And especially for those people that wouldn't even admit first of all that they have issues, there's nothing that you can do for this person. And healing stuff from self, like you have to start with yourself. You can do the job for me. I can recognize certain things within you. You can recognize certain problems within me, but you cannot do the work for me. I cannot do the work for you. I have to sit down and say, okay, I have a problem. 3 or more people have said the same thing. And I always say, if 3 or more people are saying the same thing about you, just know it is a problem that you need to work on. Stop blaming your partner for being the cause of your problems. These problems existed before they came in. And you don't expect somebody that just came into your life 3 months ago or 4 months or even 10 years ago to come and solve something that has been there for 30 years, for 40 years, for 50 years. And that's when the issue of, oh, he's not giving me peace, she's not giving me peace. No, you are not at peace within you, because there's a lot of anger, there's a lot of pain, there's a lot of grief that you haven't worked through. Like I always say, like when I say working through anger, it's like, or working through pain, it's like coming to a point of accepting that this happened to me. I will cry. If you need to cry over. Hey, I will say, so my dad has been sick for a while, and it was hard for me to come to terms with it. I remember when he first got diagnosed, like I would go into my room, I would roll on the floor, I would cry and cry. I would be wailing, like literally wailing, like I could not like just deal with the fact that, oh, I could lose my dad any day, or this person that loved me so much and has shown me so much support is just going to go away. So it was hard for me, and I was praying, oh God, keep him here, but this person is going through pain. And one day, like doing therapy sessions, it was something that I brought up all the time, the issue of dealing with like my dad's illness. And like every time they told me, and my therapist told me, she was like,
life has to end
no
matter what. Life will end anyway. We may not know when it will happen, but it will end. So I have to come to a place. So I have to sit down with myself and say, maybe I'm being selfish by keeping this, praying that this man stays with me. If he wants to go, right? But I will make peace with the fact that he was my dad. He was here for me. He did everything he had to do for me as a father. He was there. He was supportive. He gave me all he could give me, and I made my peace with that. It does not mean you won't be sad again or you won't cry again, but you've made your peace. Maybe a relationship didn't go well. You sit down, you reflect, yes, it happened to me. They broke my heart. I gave them my all, but they didn't recognize or they didn't value it. That's what happened. I will cry over it, and I'll accept that it wasn't my fault. It had probably didn't have a lot to do with it. Maybe I would have contributed in some way, which I have already accepted and I'm working on. But I'm also saying it wasn't just me. There's nothing wrong with me. I am a human being. I have flaws. I showed up with my flaws, hoping that this person will accept me the way I accepted their flaws, but they didn't. And I am okay with that, and I am going to move on. It does not mean you won't cry sometimes or you'll be sad over it, but you've made your peace with it. That's the when I talk about processing something, that's what it means in psychology, to process something, like breaking it down and making your peace with it to be able to move on. Else, I always say it's like when you overlook it, it's like there's a shelf, right? You have a shelf and you keep putting books in it. You keep putting books. You are not checking whether this shelf is strong enough.
To you are not
you are not checking whether the shelf is rotten and it's about to break down. You keep shelving. One day you just put like a piece of paper on top of the books and they all come falling down. And I feel like, honestly, when I think about midlife crisis, that's what comes into my mind. That things that men, and they talk about midlife crisis for men. Men didn't deal because of the way society socialized them, not to show emotions, not to feel emotions. So they keep shelving these things. Then when they are in their 40s, it all coming back to them. And I know this because for the first time I fell into depression. Do you know the things I was thinking about? Things that had happened about 10 years ago.
You bring everything back.
It just starts coming into your mind. You start thinking. And depression is not only having suicidal thoughts. Depression is not only having suicidal thoughts. Depression can show up in...
that's a misconception. A lot of people think once I don't feel like unaliving myself, I'm okay. Everybody goes through life. Everybody goes through hard times. So let me just keep quiet and deal with it. And that's one thing that we need to unlearn, right? If you are going through hardship, if you are going through depression, anxiety, I said earlier, I get anxious a lot. If I need to go somewhere tomorrow, this evening I'm not sleeping. I'm getting my things out, my shoes out, my wigs out. Okay, so what time do I leave? See, the appointment the appointment is at 8. So okay, let me leave at 6 and then let me get there at 7 so that within the 1 hour I'll be there. If I'm traveling and the flight is at 8 a.m., you can ask, I'm not sleeping. Sometimes if the airport is an hour or 2 from where we live, I want to go and spend the night in the hotel or at a friend's place so that I'll be close to the airport. And I think that after thinking about it, I think it's because of the rejections I faced in life, right? So I've been saying most of the time, if you've been following us, it was just me and my mother. My dad wasn't there. And she went through so much to provide for me, for my education and everything. Sometimes the fees became a problem. If my dad does not bring the money, and then everything is left on this woman to provide everything. And then sometimes, business in Ghana, it's not really good. So if you are selling and they are not buying, then now where is the money coming from? So now I have to consult uncles and aunties and all that, and you can imagine how many people I'll ask them, and then they won't give me the money.
And so that makes you feel like, is it because I'm not good enough for them to help
exactly
me?
So it's like I kept facing rejection. So whenever I'm doing anything, I'm so conscious not to make a mistake for this opportunity to slip by, right? So let's say I'm traveling, I'm like, hey, what if now I delay, and then by the time I get to the airport I miss my flight, and now the money is gone. because I also grew up not from a rich home, like money, there was no money to spare, right? So I can't even think about the fact that I'll be late, I'll miss my flight, and that money will go waste, and now I have to book another flight again. So I think just as you said, it comes from your upbringing. Like if you grew up from a home, like me, I never stayed with my dad. It was my mom. I didn't have any brother, so like I didn't know relationship with men, right? And then I didn't, and obviously if you're always in the church, they don't teach you about boyfriend and girlfriend. It's only marriage. So you don't know, okay, when you start dating a guy, even before you date a guy, what are the things you need to look at? What are the things, the questions you need to ask? So everything I was thinking about was marriage. And then I remember they would tell me, you are so unrealistic. Like you can't skip dating a boyfriend and go to marriage. But because of my religious mindset, it was always okay. Now we started talking. You like me, I like you. Okay, when are we gonna get married?
And talking about religion, like we earlier, I didn't want to miss a point, like about the prayer. It's not like prayer is no good. By the prayer you should be praying is, God, lead me to the resources that will help me deal with this anger, deal with this grief, deal with this issue that has become a problem. Or else if you don't deal with it, I am sorry, you go keep moving from one relationship to the other. That same problem will show up. It may not show up like the same way, it may show up in a different way because now you're with a different person and they'll be bringing a different thing out of you, right?
And that's what somebody said the other time, that if you don't identify what led you to a toxic person, you can break up with them, but you meet another toxic person, the same form but in a different body. So, and that's one thing I grew up especially like if you are so religious and it's only like marriage because you've been taught that getting a boyfriend or all these ones is a sin, right? So it comes with some desperation. That's why I'm so passionate about religion and mental health, especially if you're a young woman in Africa from a religious home and they are teaching you only about marriage and how you can get a man to marry you and to how you can be a wife material and all that. When you are getting into a relationship, it's marriage that's on your mind. You are not even looking at the person.
I feel like even with that is the idea of marriage, not marriage itself, because marriage itself means you'll be dealing with another human being with emotions. And I feel like the core of the issue where they should be teaching is how to deal with emotions in a relation, in a marriage, because that's what makes or breaks marriages, right? How we handle emotions in relationships. Like imagine this person doesn't know any of that triggers. They don't know they even have a problem, right? And they start showing up in that way. They will think it is you that's causing the problem, and every time is an attack on you, right? And so like I feel like even in the churches, the marriage thing that they teach is not even, it's just the idea of marriage, what they think marriage should look like. It's that like just the physical aspects or just the material aspects, right? But not the like the emotional thing, which is what actually makes, because if you're going to work and work is not going well, you are showing up with a certain emotion. If like you're happy in the relationship, it shows up in our emotions, right? If like something is no, your parents are sick or something is happening, it's showing up in an emotion, and your partner should be able to know and be able to deal with. So you don't know anything about emotions. Now you're with a human being that has emotions, right? Now how are you going to do? It's like gonna be a disaster. And I feel like that's why there are a lot of divorces like in the system these days, because people don't learn what's emotional, like emotional intelligence and emotionally having to deal with somebody that also has emotions.
First of all, they are not, a lot of people are not brought up to be emotionally available. Just as we said earlier, if you are training up your son not to show emotions or not to cry, then you're suppressing his emotions,
so he won't be able to love as well.
Exactly. So he will get in a relationship with a lady and doesn't know how to express it to her, how to show emotions to her and all that. And the thing about the religion that I was saying, that that thing keeps people in desperation mode, because if all you are teaching the woman is to grow up, be educated, get a work, marry, right? So okay, now she's done with uni, she's working, so what else? It's marriage. And you are a woman, yes, I know people will say you can propose to a man, but it's a man that will determine whether he will marry you or not. So it's rather the man that has to be desperate, not you, the woman. But we'll find, and I've been in that situation before, like years ago. I needed, because of my upbringing,
they told you,
like you need
the man,
you need a man, you need to marry, you
No,
need, and then now if the person is showing you even the red flags, you are painting them green.
Yeah.
Like this person has clearly shown you that
they are not emotionally mature.
number one, he's not looking for marriage. Number two, he is not ready to marry, or you are not the person that you've clearly seen that this guy is talking to another lady. And you, because of what you want, because you want him as a husband, you are still sticking with him, and this is what the desperation will get you to. So now you go, they will break your heart.
Hey, this heartbreak matter. That's where you go. Have you ever dated somebody? When date you be abokada? Ask me, I'll tell you. When date, just say you break your heart. What's a abokaka? Hey, that's why you know that we are saying you're blue and white. You're blue and white. You're blue and white.
That's how you go, they'll break your heart. This person is always talking about why he doesn't want to get married because his uncle got married and the woman took his money. This person got married and this, and you are still with him.
Health, no, it's somewhere.
And like you said earlier, the person is broken. They don't have any emotions at all. They are not showing you, they are not expressing it. It's like, okay, since you are here, you can hang around, and you are still there because you are desperate. That's the problem right now. So guys,
There's some messages.
Somebody said I need them almost glasses.
Yasmin's glasses, yeah, number one in town.
Guys, thank you so much for joining.
Thank you for joining us.
Accra blogger.
Babette, Babette, Kwame, Obrinpong, Kennedy. Hi, we see you all. Thank you, Morrison. Says watching from Kumasi. Thank you for joining us today. And today the topic is mental health and how mental health affects us in our relationships, in our work, and in education. And talking about work, I feel like our mental health also stops us from pushing ahead. So somebody talked about how men are stressed emotionally and things are going high, and like, oh yeah, like men are really stressed. Men have more mental health issues. And usually when I look at things like this, I look at the roots of the issue.
That's how you can solve it.
The stress is just the surface. It is what caused you to come to a place of stress, right? That's what you should be asking, not the stress itself. Okay, first of all is to recognize that you're stressed. Then you go, the next thing is, what is making me stressed? And that's where the roots of the issue is, and that's where you can solve it. It is not making more money. You say you don't have more money. It is not making, you can have, like, there are some people in this world that have all the money but are still not happy.
Exactly.
They are still empty. They still feel like there's a void they need to fill. They've bought the big nicest cars, have the most beautiful woman, have the best children, but they still do not feel fulfilled. They still do not feel okay within, right? And I feel like these type of stresses come from the root issue. First of all, you are not even courageous enough, or you don't even believe in yourself enough to be able to go in for certain opportunities. So last week we talked about going for opportunities. And another problem, the problem is the person does not believe in themselves that, oh, I even deserve this, because growing up they were told that they were not enough. They were made to feel like they do not deserve anything good. And so when something good is coming to them, they feel like, oh no, this is not mine. Then they start withdrawing, they start going away. And so the things that you need to do to be able to get to a place where you feel fulfilled, like career wise, you are not able to do it because, first of all, imposter syndrome, even if they give it to you, you feel like, oh, this is not mine, so
I can't handle.
So there were times where I run away from positions because I'm like, oh, I can't do this. That's like that unworthiness within me, feeling like, oh, I can't. No,
you can't. It's too big for
you, right?
Meanwhile, there are people that are handling it and doing it very well.
That have less knowledge than you, that have less skills than you, that are doing it. But because you're not putting yourself out there, like the confidence is not there, the self-worth is not not there, the self-belief is not there, so you are not pushing ahead, forging ahead to be in a place where you are earning more, so that financial stress is off you. You feel like, oh, I only deserve to be here, let me just manage here, let me just stick here and manage, right? Because of how you feel about yourself, first of all. And it stems from how your caregivers made you feel, how that relationship made you feel, how that friendship made you feel, how your work people, and there's toxicity in work, right? At workplaces, right? So you are working somewhere and everybody is trying to sabotage you. After a while, it will get to you. You will feel like, maybe there's something wrong with me. Then you leave that job, right? Then you go and find another one. And like, being promoted comes with sometimes longevity in a position. Now you don't have the self-confidence to even attack like certain courses or certain things to even bring you to that position where you are earning more. Now you are in financial stress and you think, oh, I'm so stressed, it's because it's the finances. No, there's a root cause of why you are where you are.
See, talking about self-sabotage, and this is something I've experienced before, so I'll say it as I use my junior high school as an example. That because I didn't know math, I was made to think I was not brilliant enough.
Yes.
Because if I had chosen,
go for the small
exactly, if I had chosen my science course, I would have done the nursing that I wanted to do. But because I was talked down upon, I chose home economics. I'm not saying home economics is a bad course, but it was because of the mental health problem that you were talking about, right? And then when I went to high school, I realized I was passing every exam. So I was like, so I could have done this, right? And then my mother was not so educated. So yes, she will encourage you to learn. She will pay your fees and all that. But I wish that she could have told me or educated me to neglect the discouragement that's coming from school and do what I want to do, right? She did her best and I love her. I appreciate her for all that. But if I had went ahead or chosen my course, see, so after high school, when we're going to uni, and then again it came back like, okay, I don't even think with this home economics course I'm doing, I can even apply for any better course in the uni. University. So when I got my forms, I was like,
advised you that you could have done anything.
Just give me any small course.
Let me just be in the university.
Let me just be in the university. Let me graduate and then let me see what I'll do with my life afterwards, right? And this is all coming from the upbringing and the school, the things that I was facing. So, and then I went to uni. I went to Legon and I realized I was making A, B. Like my lowest grade could be C. I was like, so wait, I've been brilliant all this while. So I've been sabotaging myself all this while. If I had gone to do my degree nursing or whatever, I would have done it.
Your life would have taken a different trajectory.
Exactly. And then I traveled out of Ghana. Like when I came here in America, everybody's like, the courses are too hard. It's so hard to get a job. So just go do anything. Just do something small. And I fell for it. I would admit for some time, I was killing myself. Like the confidence was going away. Like I was back then. So later, like when she went to the army, I was like, wait. She was explaining to me. I was like, okay, I think I need to rework on myself and then gain my confidence and my self-worth back, because if I wasn't brilliant, I couldn't have graduated with the first class from Legon. I couldn't have got a Commonwealth scholarship to the UK and graduate with a distinction in masters. Like I was like, I need to rethink. And then now when I always wanted to be in IT, right? I was like, can I even do this? I'm not even a science student. And guys, let me tell you, when she started and she pulled me in, now we are all doing it. We've studied, we've written our certification. Like, I think the upbringing does so much to you. If you don't get the right training and the right encouragement, like you can waste your whole life. Sometimes I'm like, So if I would have wasted my whole life settling for all these
there's
small ones, because I
and you'll
think
never be
I'm not
fulfilled,
enough.
because
Exactly.
that's not what you were brought for. You were brought to do other things, right? But because because of your mental health, like the way you view yourself, because of
Exactly.
things you had gone through in the past, you feel like, oh, this is all I deserve. And even
That's what was
sometimes when
happening
the
to
big
me.
things that you deserve comes to you, push it away and say,
Yeah.
this is not mine.
I don't think
this
this
is
is
not
me.
mine. This is bigger than me. Like I can't take the, and it has a root cause. It came from somewhere,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So it's not always, and my therapist said something, like she was like, most people are living a trauma response. So sometimes the way you are now, that's not how you were born to be. It is something that happened at some point within your growing up that has made you, it's called coping mechanism. Sometimes it's healthy and unhealthy. So you found a mechanism to
cope with
survive,
it.
to
Yeah.
cope. But it does not mean that mechanism will always work for you. Sometimes the mechanism that helps you survive will not help you thrive. And as human beings, we want to thrive. And if you want to thrive, one of the things you
I
should
love
take,
that statement.
if one of the things you should take seriously is your psyche, your mental, what's going on up here, because it is what goes on up here that is shown out on the outside. Sometimes when you meet certain people, you can tell that they don't have any confidence. You can tell that they have low self-esteem. No matter even if they are wearing designers, they are making 100,000 K a year. If they have it, you are able to tell. And so sometimes, like you said, you had the first degree, you had the distinction, but you still didn't feel like you were smart. There are people that have all the certifications, right? So you see people, some people don't really have anything, but they are so confident, they are so self-aware, they have self-worth. And there's another person on this other hand, has everything, has all the degrees, has all the money, has all the cars, has a beautiful wife, has 9 children, and still does not feel good enough.
Yeah, so
And,
let's talk about shyness. I think that a lot of people are shy because of the self-confidence that's
Sometimes
not
that they don't-
there.
it's not
Like the
because you're
self-esteem
shy.
is gone. So for me, right, when I was growing up, there was hardship in my home. So all the time I'm thinking about how to get my next school fees, how my mother can go sell her things to provide the food that we need to eat. So if I get in any like gathering or some, I'll just go sit somewhere quiet like this, and they are saying, hey, she's shy, she's quiet,
she's reserved.
She's not friendly. It's not that I'm not friendly, I'm thinking of how my mother will
The
get
next
money,
meal, the next school
where the next
fees.
meal is coming from, where the next school fees is coming from. So it kills that confidence in you. You are not able to, you can't even talk
Show
because
up,
sometimes, and if you are religious, it gets worse. Like, okay, let me just keep quiet, let me just pray in my head so that God will provide. Okay, I don't even need to get connections. I don't, like, I went through Legon, I was not making friends. Sometimes when I sit down and I think about it, I'm so mad about myself, because one, so a lot of people don't have good spirits, so don't get close to them. If you discuss your situation with somebody, they can, if they don't have good spirits, they are witches. This one is a witch, this one is a wizard, and now you are keeping to yourself. I was the most secretive
And then
person.
you are losing out on your opportunities.
I was the most secretive person. I'm not telling you. I'll just go and pray about it, to pray to God, right? But you can't do this life without people. You need people. You just have to be selective.
Be discerning.
And be discerning. Get the good people that will help you, because as you keep talking, and that's why now I'm trying to make friends. I'm being friendly on social media. I'm texting people, replying, all that, because you need them. Sometimes they'll give you information. Sometimes they'll recommend you to other people. Sometimes they will tell you, oh, have you tried this? It can help you. Have you done this? It will work. But if you keep to yourself and you're always praying to God and you think that God will make a miracle, the miracle has to come through somebody. So sometimes when I sit down and I think of the people that have helped me, and if I kept to myself and I had not spoken to people that knew them, like, how would I have gotten all these opportunities? So guys, I think that we need to rework on ourselves, unlearn a lot of things, get close to people. But the thing is, once you see they are toxic, then that's when you start advising yourself. so that they don't drag you into
down.
their mess.
Yeah, it doesn't matter the work. You could have done the work. And the thing about healing is a journey. It's not a destination you get to when you're totally healed, right?
Yeah.
And so within your healing journey, there are days where you take like a few steps back. So imagine you are in those steps back, and then you meet somebody that has no idea about their own mental health, about issues that they have that they need to be working on, right? And then
they think they
will drag you down. Now you go back to point zero. So it's very important that whilst we are looking for partners, we should also be watching and seeing how they are living like their lives to be able to tell where they are mentally, right? They don't have to tell you they are diagnosed with depression or bipolar or psychosis or schizophrenia, right?
Them,
you know. And depression doesn't always show up as suicidal thoughts, like we say. It could be sleep issues. You are sleeping too much or too little. You are easily getting irritated. The least thing, you are irritated. Watch it. Like, these are signs. Like, you are eating too much or you are eating too little. These are also signs of somebody that is depressed. Or you don't take pleasure in the things that you used to find pleasure in. Or maybe you used to like a show, now you don't even want to watch the show. You used to like talking to certain friends, now they call you don't even want to pick up their call. Those are telltale signs of somebody that's on a trajectory into a depressed like mood. And so, like, it's not always, oh yeah, because I've not been diagnosed, so I don't know what's going on. You have issues. You didn't grow up the way a normal child. And another thing, when you talked about parents and you talked about your mom, another thing, our parents have their own trauma.
Oh, I was going to say,
our parents have their own
let's
issue.
branch to African parenting and mental health. Like, that's a whole
they have their own issue, and that's how they are raising you. They've been living a trauma response their whole life. They give birth to you and they continue in that cycle. Their parents never told them they love them. They never hugged them. They never held their hand. And they won't do that for you because they were never taught. They don't know, right? Know. Or they didn't learn it for themselves, right? So they have, it's not like, oh, our parents are bad. No, I see it as they didn't know better.
They didn't know,
they didn't know better. They had their own issues. They had their own trauma that they had no idea of, to even start processing it, to come to a place where like some of our parents went through divorces, and like we have parents that have gone through divorce and like it's been over 30 years, they still talk about it as if it's happened yesterday. That's trauma that hasn't been worked through. That's trauma that hasn't been processed, and that's how they are raising you. So they have a lot of built-in anger. So your mom is yelling at you, calling you all these things, stupid, get out, oh, you're a fool, you never amount to anything, and you think it's, and as a child you are processing it as, oh, maybe they don't like me, or maybe I'm just wrong and there's something wrong with me. Now as an adult, I see it as, oh no, they had their own issue, and that was how it made them show up in their relationship with us. It was that built-in anger that we now have that's making us think, oh, our partner is always the problem. They had, and that's how the best way they knew. And you know, when you're angry, it's like everything annoys you, so you're angry inside as a parent. Your child is just even dancing happily and you are mad. Like, why are you happy? Because you are not happy inside, right? So like,
yes, see, and that's what I'm saying, that African parenting, mental health, that's a whole topic on its own, right? Adu Anyan says some parents don't even teach their words how to show appreciation because hey, this one, right? Like, how many African parents will apologize?
So you be with their son or their daughter and they'll never apologize to you because they don't know what apology is.
The parents never apologize to the child because, and that's one problem I have with this African adage, like the elderly people are always right. You don't talk bad about the dead. So like, if you are not talking about the bad things they did, how are we educating the young ones not to live like them?
How are we even our own selves?
How are we?
Because if you are not admitting that there was a problem, how do we know that? Because everything, most of the things we are were passed on by from our caregivers, right? So how, if we are not accepting that they did it wrong, that means when we do it, there's nothing wrong with it, and that's why some people have problems in relationships because they see nothing wrong with what they are doing.
And that is where they will shift the posts because. So if the parent did it, the parent never apologized. But if the child does it, it's wrong. And that's why there's always this conflict between parents and children. Like, like, daddy, you did this to me, you never apologized to me, but when I did it, you had a problem with it, and you can apologize, but you want me to apologize to you, and now there's a problem. Like, okay, I'm the parent, I know better, and that's, I wish somebody can carry this message to African parents. Not me though, but somebody should help me that they are not perfect.
No, I feel like there's a way to bring it up. Like with my parents, I'm able to tell, like when they do something that doesn't sit right with me or doesn't feel right, I'm able to tell them. It's just how you say it, right? If you're going to yell at them and all that, then that's disrespectful,
you don't have
right?
to yell,
no, that's what I'm
with
saying.
Some parents, you can't even bring
it up. Okay, I mean, maybe it depends on the kind of parents,
exactly,
people
like,
that you have.
I don't even know, like some of the parents I know, like how you can go to them as a child and say, Daddy, what you did was wrong,
because that relationship was never even there.
Yeah,
that's true.
So, and I don't know how. I think with African parents, the pastors are the only people that can send this message across to them. Like, if the pastors had a full sermon one day and said, African parents, come, let me teach you something. Your kids, God has given your children wisdom too. You are not the only people that are wise. Your kids are also wise. Sometimes listen to them. When you do something and it's wrong, apologize to them.
Say thank you when they do chores.
Yes,
so because you are teaching them
how to be humble and how to be appreciative. Let them experience it from you as a parent, because you can't be teaching, you can't be preaching virtue and practicing vice. You are teaching me to be truthful, to be humble, to be appreciative. And I do something at home, you can say thank you, you can say
you are
please.
Yelling at me,
you are yelling at me, you are insulting me all the time, you are talking down at me. Like, how do you expect me to have a good relationship with other people? It will be messed up. So I think that so okay, now let's also educate ourselves, because we are now the incoming parents.
And I wanted to read one comment here. He Edu Enyan says, one thing I would teach my children is being kind. Being kind, like me, I always say being kind is not always in the material things, and me, for the most important thing for me to tell if somebody's kind is in like the immaterial things, in the intangible, like the way you're speaking to me when you're mad, like how you are approaching things or not approaching things, how you're saying certain things, right? That's what I take as kindness, because like these kind, I feel like the other material things are like kind acts.
Oh yeah,
it's
like
niceness,
kind acts with kindness. Like somebody can be, haven't we seen people donate $10,000, but then their character is 2,000 whatever in church? They are building mansions for the church and for the pastors, and the people that are close to them, they can't give you any good thing. Like, they are not kind to them with their words, with their everything. Like, some people just want to look good. And in front of people, but in their hearts, they are not kind in their hearts.
They don't have any peace, so how will they be kind? They are filled with anger and grief and pain. How can they be kind? Exactly. And like, talking about kindness, just yesterday, I was doing a lot of self-reflection about my own upbringing and kindness, because my parents are down to earth, nice, sweet people, welcoming, very kind people, and that's how they raised me. So they are raising you as kind, right? But they're not also raising you and telling you the world can be unkind.
Oh, that's another perspective.
So like, now you are showing up always kind, even to people that are unkind, because you've been taught that every time be kind. And then in certain situations, there are certain situations where you need to take yourself out, but you are still in there saying, because let me just be kind to this person. Maybe my kindness will help them, or I still need to be kind to them regardless of whatever they are putting me through. Right? So a recent experience made me self-reflect, and I said, okay, now I know that the world can be unkind, and when I meet somebody that's really unkind, that's really messing with my mental health, I need to take a step back from them. Right? I can be kind to them from afar, but I don't need to be in that situation and say, oh, I want to still be kind to them, because I was brought up by parents that only taught me kindness. And didn't teach me that the world could also be unkind. And when the world is unkind, this is what you do.
See, I'm going to talk about this with religion again. Right? With religion giving us hope, and we always praying and thinking that you are a Christian because you believe in Jesus, because you pray all the time, the world should be fair to you, or life should be smooth. That is one thing we need to take out of our mind. Like, we are all human beings, and that's what I read the other time, that life has never been fair. Life will never be fair, and life was never fair. So just take away that entitlement from your mind, that you think, I grew up as a good girl, so by now everything should be smooth, I should have the best man, I should be married to the best man, I should have the best kids. There are people in this life that married as virgins and they don't even have kids. They are struggling with childbirth. There are people that dated multiple men, they did abortion and all that, and they have five children. They don't even want to give birth, but the kids are coming. So that's one thing we also need to learn. Like, life happens to us. The prayers, the prayers that we are praying is that God should give us the strength, so that when we encounter the situation,
we are able to
deal with it.
It brings us the resources and the people,
and the people to help us. But not think that because I'm praying, everything should be smooth. I should have everything on the good level. I should be blessed. I should be financially stable. See, you want to be blessed, but you are not taking up any course. You are not changing careers, right? If you're on minimum wage and you don't plan to maybe take a course or do something that will get you a job with a higher pay, you'll be stuck in the minimum wage. And then see how this economy is moving. Things are getting expensive, apartments and everything. So now you have a child, your wife and your child, you are still in the same income bracket. The prayer will not change anything.
Prayer itself, the prayer should be directed towards something. God, direct me. Show me. Okay, maybe you're confused about what to do. God, lead me to people that will help me bring out the thing that I really need to do. Because sometimes it's through conversations that you're able to come up with ideas, right? Or God, lead me to the resources that I need to be able to make the next move. If you are in a place of confusion, let's take it, somebody is confused, doesn't know what to do, and they are praying. Yes, that should be your prayer. Not, oh God, open a way for me. Open a way for you where?
Like, what do you want God to do for you? So let's say you've started studying something, and then you're like, God, give me the knowledge to understand this course. Or you started learning a skill or a trade. So Lord, give me understanding to learn this program.
And give me the now when you ask for the favor, it makes sense.
But if you are not doing anything, you are at home and you are praying, like, what should God do for you? Because he stopped throwing the manna. Manna not there. It doesn't come again. It's finished. Like, sometimes I think about it. So if we had not got up one day, so obviously you started, right? If you had not got up one day to join this course and had not encouraged me and pulled me in, I would have been stuck with this healthcare, whatever. And then very soon your confidence.
And besides, the people around you are also telling you, oh, you're not good enough to do these jobs because, oh, first of all, you're African, you're female, and you're here in America, so it's not possible. No, everything is possible if you believe and you will work. It doesn't mean it's not going to be hard. This mental health issue that we are talking about, it is not easy to get over, but you keep doing the work, keep working, keep working. Sometimes you take 2 steps back, but make sure you are coming 3 steps forward. Sometimes you get stuck, but make sure you are not sitting there. Like me, on days where I get stuck, I will walk to my therapy. Like, I'll go without an appointment. I'll walk in there and say, I don't feel well. I need to talk to somebody, right? Because I don't want to stay there. Because when you stay there for a long time, that becomes your normal, and then you're stuck in there and you're not able to move forward.
Let's talk about talking to somebody, right? We all had friends that we were close to. We were talking to them. We were sharing ideas and all that, and then they get married and they cut all their friends away because now they think they are married. The single people don't have wisdom again. Listen, and then they are training you that, hey, as a wife, as a submissive wife, don't discuss your marriage, your marital whatever with anybody. That's how you be suffering. See, that's how you are in the marriage and you are depressed and you can't discuss with anybody. Somebody could have told you or shown you how to handle situations with your man, or how to handle situations, how to confront him, bring up, communicate everything. But because they've told you not to talk to anybody, especially your single friends, you think now you are the only wise person because you are married. All your single friends are stupid. They don't have wisdom. So you are there, you are suffering, nobody will come to your aid.
And then you won't be able to reach your potential if you're always in a state where you're questioning yourself, you're depressed, like, because depression will keep you from like moving out. Like, it's like a valley that you're in, and it's like a cloud of darkness. You don't see anything because you're not even seeing yourself in the world, first of all. So if you're not seeing yourself in the world, how then you go out and make use of the resources that God has put in the world for you? So like, mental health is a very serious thing. We should take it seriously. It can affect everything. It affects how we show up. And then I wanted to talk about like the kind of mental health we have shows how we show up in relationship, and it comes to attachment styles. I used to talk about it a lot. So we have different attachment styles. Like, we have the anxious attachment, we have the avoidant attachment, we have the secure attachment. The secure attachment is where we all want to be, where we are comfortable with our feelings, we are comfortable with our emotions. Things have happened, we accept it, and then we keep moving. But with the anxious, because you've experienced a lot of, and this happens to a lot of people that experience a lot of abandonment issues, right? Like, oh, you went into something, you faced a lot of rejection. So for an anxious person in a relationship, it's like everything should happen now. And then anxious people always get with avoidance, and avoidance are people that never learned how to deal with emotions. And this will be most of our African men. They never learned how to express their emotions. They don't know what their emotions are. So when you, the anxious person, is expressing emotions, they don't know what to do with it, so they withdraw. Sometimes not because they don't want to, but they don't know what to do with your emotions, because they themselves never learned how to deal with their emotions, right? So you're with somebody and you're like, this person doesn't care about me at all. And they are also, the avoidance is also with an anxious person thinking, this person is doing too much, this is not the one for me. It's because mentally things have happened that you did not deal with to get to a place where you are secure, like you are securely attached, right? And so that has been me. I say I'm a recovering anxious person, like, because of everything I went through. It's like, like every time, and when something happens for the anxious person, they want to deal with it now. Let's solve this issue now. I won't be free because of anxiety. I can't sleep. Hey, I can't eat. This person is not talking to me. Yeah, there's a problem. There's a fire on the mountain. We need to. But the avoidance is like, I'm not ready to deal with this thing. Not because they don't care, but they just don't know how to deal with it. It's too much for them. They can't comprehend. So sometimes they need space, right? And then you come to the end. So like, in learning how to show up in relationships, I take these things seriously. So there are some people I follow that would even give how to respond in certain situations. Like, for some people, because they experience emotional neglect and abandonment, sometimes you say something but they take it as they are triggered in a different way. So I'll talk about my own experience, my own example.
Wait, before that, let's read a couple of comments. The topic, please, guys. We are talking about mental health today, and like mental health generally in relationships, in religion, in school, at work, and all that. Bridget says there should be a limit to your kindness. At some point, we are just being foolish.
Yes.
I'm telling you. And Kinioba says, ladies in red, hi Kin, how you doing? And somebody is asking if we are recording a video or a podcast. It will be live on Facebook and live on YouTube. It will be posted on Facebook and on YouTube as well. So
it's there, it will be there.
Yes, so it will be there. But TikTok, I'm not able to save it. So it's on my Instagram and then YouTube and Facebook.
And then my Facebook as well. So if you're on my Facebook, it should be there.
Yes, so I do say, for a relationship to work perfectly, one should have high emotional intelligence. Like, both of you need the emotional intelligence.
And the emotional intelligence comes from you having doing the work on yourself, knowing that I am flawed, she is flawed, and the issues that I have are not issues that she caused or he caused, but they are things that are within me and I'm being triggered. So knowing your own triggers is also important. Like, for me, like, I know, like this week I was talking to somebody and they said something to me and I was triggered, like, and I went off and I started talking. Then I took a step back and I was like, and I messaged the person, like, this is not about you. You were just a trigger, but it's just about me struggling with that thing that you you hit on and it rubbed me the wrong way, and so I'm sorry. I know you do not know this, but I'm telling you right now, this is something that I am struggling with and I'm struggling to come to terms with. And so when you said it, it rubbed me. But previously I would have thought, this person is just annoying. Every time they want to annoy me, they just want to make me angry. But so there are instances where things happen, I start feeling some way. Somebody says something, I start feeling the some way. I know it's not the person that is making me feel that way. It is something within me that I'm still working on. And that brings me to some things that I wrote down. So to help us define some of these things, it says, one therapist that I follow, she says, when we are defensive, it's usually because we feel insecure. So like as human beings, when we start feeling insecure about something, we become very defensive. Like you want to protect it. You don't want anybody to see. It's like, everybody wants to be seen as okay. So that insecurity about you that somebody is opening up, you want to protect it. So that's when you become very defensive. So for somebody that's always defensive, like every time, but it's an insecurity. And for me, growing up, I was bullied. So I became like insecure in myself, right? And so my coping mechanism was to be defensive. So before you say 1, I'll say 10. I was very cheeky. I remember in Form 1, when I went to high school, they called me the cheekiest girl in class. But because before you say it, I thought in my head, you are coming for me. So I have to come for you first. So it's an insecurity within me. So if you find yourself being very defensive about everything, it's because there's an indwelling insecurity in you. And so you should watch it. And there's another one, she says, we are critical of others. And when we are critical of others, it's often due to something they bring up in us that we haven't resolved. So some people will just like try to pick you apart, especially in workplace. Me, I have experience in workplace where it's like they just want to bring you down. When you go and dig deep into that person's own personal health and personal mental health issue, you find out that they themselves have something that they haven't worked through, and and you being all energetic and hardworking, it rubs them the wrong way. So they want to bring you down to where they are, right? Where they are. So you find somebody that's always, that they'll never say something nice about you. You are doing the thing, but they are always saying something bad about you. They always want to criticize you. That person has things that and so me, like after a lot of therapy, when somebody starts to criticize me, sometimes I just look at them like, yeah, you have issues that you haven't dealt with. That's why you are talking to me this way. And I just look at them and I feel sad for them. It's sadness and sometimes compassion. Like, I feel sorry for you because you don't even know that you have something that you need to work on. And you think picking me apart or like ripping me to shreds will make you feel better, but that won't make you feel better. And then the last thing is, feeling misunderstood is a huge trigger for those who grew up in an emotionally neglectful home. And this was the example I gave in the beginning for kids that even had 2 parents, right? But the parents were not present. And when I say present with you, like being with you, you're crying, they are comforting you. Oh, Kojo, it's okay, you'll be fine, don't worry, that's how life is, but you'll be fine. You cry small. Okay, come for toffee, what will you eat? Oh, are you okay?
They will beat you when you're crying. They will beat you on top.
Oh, okay, you went to school, what did they say today? Like they're paying attention to you. Because every human being wants that attention. It doesn't matter if it's a child or an adult. And sometimes some people get stuck in that space where they are 30 years, but they are still living the life, like that feeling of a 7 years when something happens to them. So you are meeting a 30-year-old, a 35-year-old, and they are still behaving like a 10-year-old. They are still like approaching issue like that 10-year-old that they were, because they never processed that, and they are stuck in those feelings of unworthiness. Oh, I need to be defensive all the time, I need to be critical so that we'll all be on the same level. The way I'm miserable, I'm going to make you miserable too, so we'll all be on the same level. So like these are some of the issues. And
Kojo Amwabing says, do temperaments play a role in how people deal with mental health?
Yes, it does. Like me, I'm very expressive. I'm out there and all that. So I'll be somebody that will meet somebody and be able to talk to them, or even when I go to therapy. And one thing I want to talk about therapy. Therapy won't do you any good. I found some Africans say, "Oh, therapy doesn't work for me. I tried it." It's because they went and they weren't vulnerable.
They were not talking.
You still want to be macho in the therapy session. You still want to show that, hey, now you be your guy, now you know, now you be in the boss.
Saying the truth.
Meant or that dear, you want to be or that dear in therapy. Okay, good for you. You will pay $200 and get nothing from it after an hour. Going to therapy means you are ready to open up, talk about your issues so you can work through them. And so like we're talking about temperaments, right? So me, I'm somebody that's very expressive. So if I go to therapy, for some people that are like a little withdrawn, it would take them time to open up. It doesn't mean, but your focus should be, I want to get well, so I need to do what I need to do to get to a place where I feel secure within myself, right?
Exactly.
Where I feel like, okay, now when opportunities come, I can take them as mine. I can take things that I deserve, right? And so yes, temperament that does play a part. Maybe for people that are not really out there, it may take them time, but for people that are always out there, maybe. And sometimes for people that are always out there, they use it as a covering. So you see them, they are jumpy and other, but they are. I can tell you that some videos that I have posted that I was jumping around. Hey, that day, the way I was depressed and crying. No, I probably just finished crying and I posted that video. So yes, it does. And so yeah, like we are saying, let's all work on our mental health. Let's take it seriously.
Let's not push it aside.
Affects everything in our lives.
As you are looking for money, as you are looking for a career, you are seeking for what a relationship and all that. Let's not neglect mental health. Let's not sit home and say, I'm African, I don't need therapy.
Africans don't get depressed, or Ghanaians don't get depressed.
No,
you can't get depressed in Ghana. That's a lie. People are depressed,
but we just don't put the label because
we don't know what it is. First of all, you don't. The first time I fell into depression, one of my friends had to tell me, Esther, I think you're depressed though. So after learning about it, I was like, because that was the time. Do you know what happened? I will go to bed and I'm praying and I'm committing my soul into God's hands. I didn't know what it was. I was always sad. I'll be walking on the streets of UK. I'll be crying like on the street. You know how the streets are. I'll go to the shop in the city center. I'll just be tears will just be flowing.
Like you don't see the sense of being alive anymore. And I've been there like last year, somewhere last year. I was thinking I had failed. I had failed my mother. I had failed myself. So what was the point? Sometimes I could sleep and pray, God, if I die tonight.
Yeah, that's one big sign when you're committing your soul in God's hands.
Forgive me that I came to do my part, but it was just something I had to do. I had to get up from my comfort zone and go take a risk. And that's what I keep saying, that the prayer alone will not do anything for you. You have to get up, pack your bags, change the environment. Sometimes
change of environment.
Sometimes where you are is not favorable. The people around you cannot help you. Move to another place, find good people, make new friends, let them give you fresh ideas and start life all over again. And that's what I did, and I thank God so much. So like, guys,
and
this is what we're talking about today.
Talking about friends, I find a dangerous thing to do is be with around people that will say, oh, me, I don't care about mental, that thing doesn't exist, it's not true, depression is unreal. Honey, you'll be there, you'll be dying. You'll be there and be you don't have anybody to talk to, because all the people around you are saying they don't believe in mental, when they themselves are swimming in it. In fact, they are stewing in depression, they are stewing in anxiety, they are stewing in self-sabotage and paranoia, but they'll tell you, oh, me, I don't believe it exists. So like, let's change, like she said, let's change our environment, find friends that believe in that will work through her. Because I can go to her and tell her, like, on days where I'm not feeling okay, I tell her, today I don't feel good, I'm feeling this way. She can tell me. Or when I see her go down, I'll ask her, is something wrong? What happened? Do you want to talk about? Do you want to process it? Or she'll tell me something like, have you processed it? Maybe you should process it. So so guys, thank you so much. Today has been good. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Kojo Ofori.
Thank you, Jacob.
Lydia, I see you. Thank you so much for being here.
Today we spoke at length about mental health. We've done like an hour and a half almost. So we are going to end here. Kindly share the video, please. share the video, let others come and learn as well. Like, comment, leave your comments, and we're also gonna talk about Afrique Explore.
Afrique Explore, that's our business page.
Yes, so we are giving out information. If you want to go to Ghana, if you want to go for vacation, we have packages, 3-day packages, 3 to 9-day packages. So if you want to visit 1 region, 2 regions, 3 regions, if you want to go to Cape Coast, Kakum National Park, if you want to go to Kwame Nkrumah, all the historical sites, we have all the information, the hotels, we have private tour guides that will take you around. We have rental services, professional drivers that will take you around, that will make your stay a good one. So kindly send us a DM or message or email. Yeah, let's get you started. Okay,
let's help you go on that Ghana tour. Yes, thank you.
Go with your friends and your family members. Thank you, Slim.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everybody. So we are gonna end it here. The videos, apart from TikTok that doesn't let me save the live video, it will be on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. So it's YSG TV on YouTube, and on Instagram is YSG Official, and on Facebook it's Ifia Jemfua. But the way as all Levielle Esther.
Levielle, yeah, it's just Levielle.
Okay.
I mean, if you're already on my Facebook, then that's and if you go on her page, you definitely find me.
Yes.
So we come as a package.
So have a good week, guys.
Strictly good news.
May
take
God
your
bless.
Opportunities.
Yes, get up and take a risk.
Get up and do something. Apply for that job, that school. Do it. Go on
YouTube, learn something.
Yes.
Watch videos on your courses of study.
Yes.
Get up and go take a course. Go and study. If you don't have shock absorbers, go and study. if you come from a home like me that there's nobody, you are not coming to buy the land and build the foundation. They didn't leave you foundation. They didn't leave you house. They didn't leave you everything. My father left me a house, but now his family members are there. I can't go there. I can't go there.
Yeah.
So now I'm starting everything from scratch. So if you are like me, get up, go to the university website, go and apply for a course. So have a good
learn
week.
A trade if that's what you want.
Go and learn hair braiding, go and learn makeup. Like Cindy is making money from makeup, and people are making money from hair braids. People are charging $500 for hair braids. So we need to get up, we need to be proactive. So thank you very much. We'll see you again next week, same time. Bye. Please share our videos. Please
share, like,
share the link.
Get this message out there to everybody. Thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you. See you.
Love ya all.
Bye.
That was good.